Hello and welcome to VIBRA Finance. My name is Lindsay. Tonight I am joined by the lovely Serena Alonzi, and we will be bringing you a brief update on the HEX price and T-share rate. And we'll also be bringing you tips and tools on how to master delayed gratification. But before we do, a little hello and about VIBRA Finance.
At VIBRA Finance, we seek out the hidden gems in cryptocurrency. We will tailor your portfolio to work for you. Are you ready to transition your investments from traditional markets to cryptocurrency? Are your coins staked and earning interest? Are you overwhelmed with all the jargon in crypto? Is your portfolio underperforming and you want to reposition into consistent winning blue chip coins and viable projects? Do you feel like you missed out on DeFi, Metaverse, and NFTs? Here at VIBRA Finance, we provide you with the data, skills, and tools you need to stay on top of the digital asset market. VIBRA Finance, we are the future of crypto.
Hello and welcome. Thank you guys all so much for being here. Tonight's topic is mastering your See, I can't even get it on. I'm so excited to talk about this. What are we talking about tonight, Serena?
Delayed gratification.
And how to master it. We're going to share some tips and tools. But before we do, let's take a look at what's going on with HEX and the T-share. So today we are running on day 1,154 of flawless uptick time. I get really excited every time I get to say that each episode that we do. Tonight's episode is episode number 11, and we are looking at the HEX price of 0.027 in terms of US dollars. We're looking at T-share price of $682 per T-share. So Serena, as we've gone over the basics from the very beginning, and we looked at the T-share price. The T-share price is actually increased in terms of HEX, like the actual T-share rate has increased up to 25,639 HEX. When we started, we were looking at around 22,000, I believe. Yeah, and that was 11 short episodes ago. So here we are looking at a T-share rate of 25,639 HEX. That's a pretty sweet deal. Yeah,
Right.
$682. So if you thought about that, one T-share is how many shares of HEX?
Sorry, one T-share?
Yeah.
Oh my God, I'm like having a moment.
Well, I'm throwing this out of left side, guys. She was not prepared for this one. But as we were going over T-shares, M shares, B shares, right? Trillions, billions, and so going down that way. And the important thing to remember is that when you're purchasing a T-share, you are purchasing a trillion units of something. Okay. All right. We'll get more into that in future episodes of why it's important to pay attention to the units that you're purchasing rather than the dollar amount that you're purchasing. But that's not what this episode is about tonight. Tonight is about delaying our gratification. So what is delayed gratification? Serena, can you please?
Delaying gratification means saying no to something now, doing that in the moment so that later on you have a reward or like a benefit later. It involves putting off pleasure, especially when indulging in that pleasure could have some consequences down the road. So, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So why is delayed gratification essential in the first place? I don't know. We'll get back to that one in a second. Let's flip over to the the term that was like exactly what Serena just said, delay of gratification, the act of resisting an impulse to take an immediately available reward in the hope of obtaining a more valued reward in the future. The ability to delay gratification is essential to self-regulation or self-control. The term delay of gratification came from the Mischel experiment with marshmallows and kids. What a clever idea. So these kids were given marshmallows, and if they didn't eat that marshmallow and they waited, then they got more. I thought that's a pretty clever way to introduce that to kids. It's such an important lesson to teach them early on. And we'll get into why. So why is delayed gratification, why is teaching that essential? Because consumer debt is not okay. Impulse purchases are not okay if you haven't set aside the money for those purchases. consumer debt like credit card, car loans, personal loans, etc., is the result of not having enough money to pay for whatever you purchase. And so consumer debt is using dollars you will earn in the future to pay for current expenses. And if you're borrowing money, I don't know, every time I borrowed money, it comes with interest, right?
Yeah.
So you're putting yourself a little bit further behind. All of a sudden, that $100 purchase that you made is no longer a $100 purchase. You're looking at plus the interest rate for the money that you borrowed for that. You just had to have that purse. I'm just throwing that out there.
It's the worst with like cars, because not only are you paying interest and stuff, but then the car itself just depreciates. So you just get like, it's a double, I don't know. It's a bad thing times two,
Yeah.
I guess.
Absolutely. So can you give us some examples of delaying gratification and maybe some of the benefits of those examples?
Yeah. So one example would be renting a house now instead of buying one and putting down a large down payment. Because with all that extra money, you can invest it in something else or whatever, right? So there's that. And then DCA when you can at these low prices instead of buying things like your daily coffee or whatever it is. If you can just, instead of that, DCA into something, that's a much better use for that money.
In the long term, yes.
Yeah. Another example would be like wait to have a vacation. So if I could stake my HEX for 2 years and have a big vacation, I'd rather do that now, right? Because I would be much happier that I did that. And then on top of that, I still get to get my nice vacation in 2 years. Plus I have all of my rewards. And yeah, that's another way to delay gratification.
Yeah.
Another one is for someone who wants an expensive car, maybe wait and invest, and then you can have 10 expensive cars in 2 years, right? So
that's right. I have a slide for that. We had two friends that wanted a Corvette in 2016. They were both ready to zing in out in the Z6. But Tim and Doug had different ideas on the way to get these things done. They both wanted this Corvette. They both made $150,000 in 2015 and saved $115,000 of that. Tim went nuts and he bought that car in 2016 with $115,000 down. That doesn't even look right. That'd be like a lot for a Corvette, right? But anyway, I guess this is just an example, but I'm like, wait a second, this doesn't seem realistic, does it? There must be a fancy one. Anyway, and so he's financing these things. And here's Doug. He's like, you know what? I'm going to wait because I don't really need that car right now. But what I do need is to invest this. And then I'm going to pay a little bit on that when I have the money. So good for Doug. Anyway, let's go on to your next example there.
I have this example, is actually a benefit to delaying gratification.
Oh, yeah. Tell us about a benefit.
So it helps to create discipline to reach your goals. So an example would be working out a little bit every day to reach your goal later on, since it's not something that's going to be instant results and overnight. So
yeah.
Yeah.
No, nothing like that. Good things like that takes time. And it's really important to remember that there is a benefit on the other side. So you have to set yourself up for success from the beginning by setting realistic expectations for your lifestyle and especially for your goals. So I don't know, I have a couple examples of delaying gratification. Start a business. That is a wonderful example of delaying gratification. There are so many skills and tools and knowledge that you can gather from doing something simple like starting your own blog and sharing recipes that you and your family enjoy making or sharing with each other. That can turn into a very lucrative business these days. Yeah. You could also do delaying gratification with eating out at times. Packing your lunch for work instead of eating out on the fly, because it's easier to be like, oh yeah, I'll join you guys for lunch, and then you look at your sad salad in the fridge and you don't want to eat that. But when you're dollar cost averaging, that you're able to do so because you enjoyed that delicious salad instead. Tin Top, hello, welcome guys. Hello chat, thank you all for being here. Torin, VIBRA Finance CEO, Daniel Heart HEX, thank you for being here. Facing Reality, what's going on? Thank you for being here. All right, guys, let's go back to what we were talking about here. Oh, Tin Top, sorry, I had a moment there. I was taught that children do what feels good right now. Adults set goals, formulate strategies, and stick to the plan to achieve success. It's a force multiplier to plan for your future. Absolutely.
For sure.
Yeah. I have delayed gratification for the next 2 weeks until PulseChain. And then the next 2 weeks, and the next 2 weeks, and the next 2 weeks after that.
Oh my God.
We are, well, honestly, we really are. And practicing delayed gratification with little things in your life, like skipping that coffee, packing your lunch, renting a house, all the examples that we just went through, it will help you achieve your goals professionally, financially, for your health, your relationships, and yourself, your spirituality, whatever goals you're setting. Set smart goals. Smart goals are actionable, they're achievable, they're time sensitive. There's so many different programs out there, 12 steps to keep yourself organized, those kind of things. But anyway, keep practicing these things. It'll enable you to acquire new skills. If you start a new business, practicing all that hard work gives you a satisfaction level that is, like, when you're beginning, it's so low. The satisfaction level is so low. That's why there are, being an entrepreneur is like, you really have to want to jump out of that bed and get that job done. And you have to have a good why for that too. As you're delaying that gratification, you need to give yourself a good why. Why am I doing this? Because that will get you through those times when you want to grab that sweet snack instead of a piece of fruit. It will get you through those times when you are just so tired, you don't want to get out of bed to go for a run before you go to work. But after you do, you feel so much better. And those little things, giving yourself the clear picture of where you're going in the future, will help you set those things clearly. And delaying gratification it sets you up for financial security. So you have to plan out that way. What is your ultimate financial goal? Do you want a house? Do you want a college fund? Do you want an emergency fund? Like, when you're constantly spending money instead of aligning your financial habits with your goals, you're in the rut of instant gratification, and you end up with perpetual money problems. So yeah, anyway, back to I don't know, it sounds like I don't want to sound like a bummer. Delaying gratification is an important part of our process here. I guess I'll just say that. So anyway,
it is.
You have some tips or tools. Do you have some tools to share with us?
Yeah. So some tips and tools to delay gratification. For mindset tools, there is meditating is very helpful. And there's a free app you can use called Insight Timer. And there's great meditations and easy meditations to follow. And then also something else that really helps your mindset is daily affirmations. Those really do help and make a difference. So if anyone watching this is not doing those things, then I highly recommend that. And a tip for that. Sorry.
Oh no, I'm sorry. I was going to say, can you give our audience an example of an affirmation that you would use?
Sure. So sorry, my dog is about to jump off the bed. So yeah, you can say something like, I'm smart, or I'm confident. Personally, what I write every day is, I'm beautiful, I'm smart, and I'm confident. And after doing that for a long time, like months, it actually makes you feel better. So yeah, I would recommend to do that. There's also, you can say things like, if you want to achieve financial freedom, you can write, I have achieved financial freedom. That is something that I used to write down. So just things like that really do help your mindset. And a tip that I have for doing these things would just be make a reminder to do the above, which is seriously a good tip, because sometimes you forget and then you go how many days without practicing these things, just like working out, right? Like if you forget 1 or 2, 3 days and it starts to be something that you're not as consistent with. So yeah, I would just say
Consistency
try
is
it.
key.
Sorry?
Consistency is key.
It is, yeah. And I would say try and start your mornings off with doing these things first, just so that, like, whether it's your affirmations or workout or anything like that, do it first thing in the morning so it's done, out of your way, and you can go on about your day and not forget about it. So yeah, those would be my tips. Do those things.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you just said, do it at the beginning of your day. Brian Tracy wrote a book, How to Eat a Frog. It's something about eating a frog. I'll paraphrase that one real quick. Something about eating a frog. But the point of it was that the first thing you do in the morning should be your most difficult task. It makes it easier to eat it. It makes you able to check it off your list so that the hardest thing that you had to do all day is already done. Now everything from here gets easier. That will help to increase gratification throughout those tasks that are really hard. Another great little tip or tool to use is to stop and appreciate what you're doing, even if you don't appreciate what you're doing in a moment. Those are the times you really need to hunker down and say, okay, I'm here. So why am I here? What am I doing here? And that's why I say it's so important to know your why. So then instantly you're anchored back to it. And it's not this wishy-washy, back and forth of when you're going to execute a purchase, right? You're going to do it without emotion. That is the most effective way. If you're doing it with emotion, you're not doing it for the right reason. You already have your why. And if you write down your why and you go through that and you can follow through and anchor in on that, you can pull back to that anytime and find your center of gravity and sit with that. It makes eating the frog a lot more digestible, that's for sure. I prefer
sorry. Same timing. Go ahead.
I was being ridiculous. I prefer granola. So
yeah. Another thing to add was also just on this topic, also like gratitude is very helpful. Like you said, know your why, but also be grateful for every step of the way, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you're finding yourself in a situation where things are just really hard, your relationship is difficult, you're overwhelmed with your job, you're overwhelmed with your family life, you're overwhelmed with finances, whatever it is, whatever you find overwhelming. If you're finding yourself being negative more than positive, it's very helpful to write down 5 things that you are grateful for every single day. And if you sit down in front of that journal and you write out 1 through 5 and you have a hard time starting, start with what's right in front of you. Grab something that makes you jump out of bed in the morning. And if you don't have anything that makes you jump out of the bed in the morning, create something. My friend Nick created his cup of coffee routine. So he has a whole routine that he does with his coffee. He shaves oranges, he grinds it's the whole thing. Who has time to make 20 minutes for coffee? I don't know. Apparently Nick does. Good for him. But he's using that as a tool to set a routine for himself, start stacking gratitude early in the morning, and then you can pass those little things on around the way. Hello and welcome, Roman and Ocean Breeze. Thank you so much for being here, Benny. Nice to see you. Thanks everyone for being here. All right,
Serena. There's a comment from Tip Top. He said, positive mindset really makes a world of difference. So that is like 100% true. It really helps. You might not realize it at first, but over time it's like, oh yeah, it really does. So
you are the story that you tell yourself. You are what you say to yourself daily matters. And sometimes you don't even recognize what you're saying to yourself because it's an eternal loop. And if you are coming from a positive feedback, then it is easier to put that out there. And that energy really does connect with others around you. You're influencing your loved ones closest to you. You're influencing your coworkers. You're influencing your family. And you're certainly influencing your children or younger kids around you. I always say children because I'm always like, hey guys. So, but yeah.
True. And there's a Bruce Lee quote, and I'm totally gonna butcher it because I don't remember, but it just popped into my head right now. Something about spelling is like it's like that's what it's called. Spelling is because you put a spell on yourself, kind of thing. So if you say something negative about yourself, yeah, I don't know if you guys know what I'm talking about, but
Absolutely. Absolutely. If you say
yeah.
something negative about yourself, you are ground zero. You were born into a belief system. You were born into you're assigned, let's just say, whatever that means to you. And so if you are telling yourself that you're not smart enough, that you don't know things well enough to speak about them,
Mm.
your first line, you just shot down your first line of defense. You shot right in the foot, right there, right out the gate. You stopped yourself. So if that your first thought is, I can't, how can I? How can I?
Exactly. And I just Googled it and found it really quick. So it says words are energy and they cast spells. That's why it's called spelling. Change the way you speak about yourself and you can change your life. And that's from Bruce Lee. And that is like, yeah, that was the quote I was trying to remember.
Oh, well, thank you for looking that up and finding it, because that was a really good one to share with everyone. Absolutely. Take a good look inside yourself. Take a deep breath and sit with that. And if it's uncomfortable to sit there, then perhaps you should sit there for a little bit longer. Because if you're uncomfortable sitting with yourself, then can you imagine the others in the room around you? So, yeah, that's what it is. Hex Potion, Hex Monkey, welcome, welcome. Thank you guys for being here. Tonight we're discussing delaying gratification, and we are mastering it. So another tool that you could use is to find an accountability buddy. If you Hex Siren is running a fitness challenge. I just saw that today. There are what a great crypto community we have.
Yeah.
Running fitness challenges together. What? So anyway, that's a great way to grab a whole bunch of accountability buddies. They have a similar mindset to yours. They have similar goals to yours in mind. Your goal is to stake out your hacks, see through your stakes, so that you could practice delayed gratification and then not penalize yourself by emergency end stake. You can go in, plan these things out, act according to your plan, and execute not on emotion. Little things like that. And then make sure you reward yourself when you follow through with those things. Because if you don't plan something good into whatever your goal is, so say your financial goal is to save $5,000 in the next 3 months, make sure you plan some fun money into that too. So you're not going to just let loose on your bank account. And that's, we'll be doing a stream coming up soon about dollar cost averaging and, really detailed, like how to make yourself a plan with that. But, starting with little things. What's up, Bitfinesse? Having a delay in your future is always better than having it in your past. Just like it feels better to have failure in your past than possibly in your future. It's why most people don't try. Absolutely. Yeah. Most people just stop themselves right out of the gate. It's who am I to tell you what you have to do? But I would highly suggest getting comfortable being uncomfortable. If you continuously put yourself in uncomfortable situations, suddenly the ones behind you are no longer uncomfortable. And the ones that you're encountering, you gain more confidence, then you realize that you can get out there and there's nothing to worry about. You can hold the best of them, because at the end of the day, you are a human and we make mistakes. And whether you choose to learn from them or not, that's where the path bifurcates sometimes. So yeah.
Well said.
But yeah, so anyway, I think that was pretty much all we had for tonight. Just brief stream tonight to give you some updates and chat about our favorite things here. Do you have any final thoughts, Serena?
Yeah, so just don't let things get in the way of self-care. And like you said, little treats make it easier to self-control. You can use these tips to be happier, healthier, wealthier, and more productive. And using these skills and tools gives us diamond hands. So
yes,
very important.
Yep. Knowing what you hold, knowing what you own, knowing your why, and knowing who you are and where you're going. You don't have to know where you're going, but if you have a good idea of where you would like to go, it makes it easier to plan out the future and then set forward future goals. Start small. Start small with if you're not a planner, start with 1 week. That's it. 1 week. Take it 1 week at a time and block out 12 weeks. And only take 1 week at a time for 12 weeks. That's all you have to do because nothing's guaranteed anyway. You don't know if you're going to be around here in 12 weeks. So don't stress about it. If you're spending the time stressing about it, all of that energy is going here and it's not coming out economically. So that's all the preaching I'll do for tonight.
Yeah. And like you said, it's you don't have to know where you're going. That's so true. Because like, hey, I don't know where I'm going, but a little bit every day, right? So you don't have to have everything figured out. So exactly, don't stress about it because we don't all have the answers to everything, and answers will come in time. So yeah,
Yes,
just do
they
the
will.
best you can.
They will come. Answers will come to you when you are ready to receive them.
Exactly.
If you're not ready to receive them, you will continuously block them off. So write down 5 things you are grateful for. Before we jump off, I wanted to make sure that I got to share a habit tracker that VIBRA Finance put together for everyone here. So it is a free download. Head on over to our website. I have put the link for the habit tracker in the comments. If I didn't, I'm going to do it again so that they're fresh. You guys can head on over to download the habit tracker and document your actions daily for 1 month and then integrate them into a daily, weekly routine. So with enough practice, a routine will become a habit. And so what you choose to track on there is personal to you. You can track your finances, you can track your diet, you track whatever you want to, fill it in as you like it, use it, share it, please. That's what it's here for. You can use it on your fitness challenge. If you're joining Pulse Siren, go for it. I'm really excited about it. So make sure you head on over and download that. But thank you guys all so much for being here tonight. It's an absolute pleasure to be here with you, Serena. Looking forward to doing it next week.
Yep. Thanks for joining, guys.
Thank you and good night.
Good night.